Hi, Divesters. My name is Rudinov Vincent, and I am the founder of Divest Global. A warm welcome to you all on the third edition. This year, Divest will focus on the future of work by addressing authenticity, belongingness, and social impact as some of the most important practices for building a more inclusive and purpose driven workplace for everyone to thrive. Before we begin, I would like to humbly thank our belonging partner, Newsella, for supporting our initiative in democratizing world-class content and promoting equity in education. On this note, I would like to welcome you to our session on consequences and economic impact of disability bias. Our moderator for today is a public policy and external relations professional focused on solving complex societal issues like innovation, inclusion, and democracy. She is an established social inclusion leader who is passionate about building, facilitating, and co-designing solutions for systemic change. Please welcome Victoria Kuketz. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to welcome you to our session on disability inclusion and building disability confident leaders and labor forces with a focus on dismantling bias. I feel honored to be here and to be able to engage Dr. Lawrence Fung in conversation on this critical topic, especially given that this month is NDEAM here in Canada, where I am in Toronto. And for those who may be new to the conversation, that's National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So today and every day, we advocate for inclusive workforces and leveraging talent of all abilities so that we can all be our most productive selves at work through conscious leadership, accessible work environments, and innovative approaches. So I would love to invite Dr. Lawrence Fung to join me and engage in this conversation. Thank you so much for being here, Lawrence. How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you, Victoria. And just want to thank Rudy and all the staff in Divest for organizing this conference and for this invitation. And thank you for doing what you're doing in Toronto. And it's lovely to have a chance to chat with you.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to have you too. And also on behalf of both of us, a great thank you to Divest as well. So I'm excited to jump into your area of expertise and then really take that to a broader level of conversation, given our thematic focus today. So I'd love to start off by asking you, can you tell us a little bit about your work as the director of the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, please?
Yes, love to talk about the Stanford Neurodiversity Project. We have been working on this neurodiversity initiative through the Stanford Neurodiversity Project for about 5 years. Really, it's about the last 4 years that are completely kind of mainstream, full force project. And our main goal is to get all of us to be talking about neurodiversity and get us to be starting to create environments that are neurodiversity friendly. And we focus on the workplace as well as the educational environment. And in the last few years, we have been working in a space, we call it Neurodiversity at Work program, where we help people on the autism spectrum gain employment and also sustain employment. And in parallel, we also educate and support employers so that they can also build a neurodiversity friendly workplace, both in the recruitment phase as well as after the employees are onboarded. We also have other projects that are related to the educational environment that I invite all of your friends and colleagues to be visiting our website and that they can know more about the other projects. But for today, I'll focus on the employment-related project.
Thanks so much for that, Lawrence. And I understand that there's an upcoming Stanford Neurodiversity Summit. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be convening leaders and researchers around for the summit?
Yeah, so this is our third year running this virtual summit. It's going to be starting this Sunday. So it's going to be 3 days, and it's going to be very exciting. Last year, we have about 5,000 people joining from all over the world. And it is really about bringing people, all the different stakeholders together in one place to talk about neurodiversity in such a way that we can all learn from each other in all different aspects, from advocacy to the research, as well as education and other aspects that are important for all of us in the neurodiversity space, that we are trying to be helping everyone to be able to be a little bit more able to do things better. So we have successful employers talking about their experience in starting and also running neurodiversity at work or equivalent programs.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a lot of neurodiverse individuals who are representing many different professions. So traditionally, a lot of people are talking about the tech industry, but really, neurodiverse individuals are very much representing all different fields. So we are able to find very good prime examples of neurodiverse individuals in, say, the field of medicine, the field of the law, and also even entertainment industry, as well as other even non-science industries. So basically, we have this conference that's going to be running for 3 days. In addition to a lot of the employment-related topics, we also have topics that are related to, say, education in the higher in university or college level. We also have talks that are about the K through 12 level. We have a series of talks that are on mental health, and we also have a series of talks that are related to human rights. So I believe your audience will find something, no matter what they are truly interested in.
Thanks, Lawrence. We'll be sure to share that link. And I really appreciate how thorough your programming is, and the fact that you're engaging an entire system, an entire pipeline from K to 12 through to post-secondary and into the workforce, because it's when we really consider the entire continuum of participation and the stakeholders involved. I think that's how you really create systemic change. But that's the next thing I actually want to ask you a little bit about. From your perspective, what does it take to build these environments to create positive workspaces and work cultures for employees?
Usually, what we think is two major ingredients. One major ingredient in building an accessible workforce is to be able to have the leaders to be really telling everyone that it is actually good to have a neurodiversity at work related program, or have policies that are supporting things that are in neurodiversity at work program. And I want to say that is because it is, while it's good to have a program, it's good to even not have a program, but actually it's all practice across the board. You don't have a program, but basically everyone will benefit. So having the leaders in organizations supported is very important. And the other part is the grassroots effort. If there are good grassroots effort that can push the uh, the leaders and all the people in the company to understand um, what why it is important to have neurodiversity friendly workplaces, then it's going to be needing very little explanation from the leaders. It's not going to be only top down. It is also explained by an average um, uh, employee that's understanding uh, what neurodiversity really means. Um, and these workplaces can be really helpful in thinking about, or we should be thinking about these workplaces is not only for uh, the people with differences or neurodiverse individuals, but also for really everyone, as we are going to be seeing a lot more changes in our world. We, especially right now, we are still in the middle of the pandemic. We are seeing a lot of this um, uh, accessible ways of working being more acceptable.
Absolutely. I think you're so right to say that, obviously the pandemic has been devastating, but, some of the learnings coming out of it is that people can be productive from different kind of work environments and from different areas and with different accommodations, and that accessible, work environments and workforces really benefit everyone. And I think it's an interesting thing to compound that with the labor shortage we're seeing. So really getting into the economic impact area of this conversation. Are you seeing major organizations adapt, A, as a result of the pandemic, and B, given the labor shortage, to really dismantle exclusionary bias and really do the work that's necessary to see candidates in all of their kind of brilliance and productivity and everything they bring to the table, despite some deeply ingrained or historical biases that we see for people with disabilities in the workplace?
Um, yeah, well, I definitely have been seeing there are more organizations um, wanting to be pursuing the talent pools that they have not really explored in the past, and this is very true for uh, the group of people on the autism spectrum, and a lot of tech industry professionals are uh, having a lot of big impact on technology, and and leaders start to think about, like, there may be some special kind of talents that they can be pulling from the neurodiverse population. And say, for example, for autistic individuals, a lot of the time they are very detail oriented, and they are also very persistent in doing what they are doing. And because of that, they really can get uh, innovation to the company. So, especially because of that, that will be a good way of bringing in talent.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving an example for autism, it's true also for ADHD or dyslexia. They have their own common strains that they bring in, and so I would say it's not only about the labor shortage. It's really about the talent acquisition that companies are noticing that it is actually very important to bring in new perspectives and new talents, and they will be benefiting from um, doing their recruitment in a different way.
Thank you for that, Lawrence. And so I wanted to ask you, what does that conscious recruitment and retention look like? And in your opinion, what organizations are doing it well right now?
Yeah, so what we have been seeing is that um, when when you're saying like conscious recruitment and retention related to the neurodiversity at work related programs, um, what it looks like it is that in the recruitment, the company that have the insight in neurodiversity will be able to adjust their way of doing things in terms of how they post their positions to make sure that the positions are going to be written up as something that's more neurodiversity friendly, something that is going to be attracting the neurodiverse individuals and not going to be pushing them not to apply for those positions because of some kind of um, wording that is going to help to get them to think they are not going to be successful in their job. It is also important for the organizations to start changing their interview process.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the interview process are really, unfortunately, including some kind of first impressions in their evaluation, especially in the screening stage. And a lot of neurodiverse individuals would be screened out because of that. So, so basically, what we can say is that uh, with the um, with the recruitment phase, if the um, I hear some noise in the another line for some reason. Uh, Anyways, so basically, in the recruitment phase, when we are able uh, to get the employers to assess the neurodiverse individuals for their strengths, rather than getting the first impressions from uh, the applicant, they are going to be better off because they are going to understand how the neurodiverse individuals are going to be able to do the job well,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to really um, find some people that may appear superficially to be fitting in the company.
I
And
appreciate. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, and also, I mean, we can also extend to like the retention phase as well. That a lot of the accommodations that are basically very easily uh, executed or installed.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, if you don't want um, the neurodiverse individuals, I mean, if you want the neurodiverse individuals to work best, you basically want to make the workplace more uh, kind of suitable for this person to work. So if the accommodations are already set in place in the beginning of the employment, then the person is going to be able to start work really effectively right away.
Absolutely.
And this is very different from uh, a lot of the experiences from most people that are considered neurodiverse, that they oftentimes don't get the necessary accommodations early, and because of that, that affect uh, their their work and their productivity.
I think that's an important point. There is really no one size fits all approach when it comes to setting employees up for success and creating inclusive workplaces. I also think in order for people to be able to do that early on in the employment cycle, they actually have to feel comfortable to be able to disclose, right? And actually ask for the accommodations that they actually need to be set up for success. And, I think that one piece of bias is that people think that only people with disabilities need accommodations, and we know that isn't the truth. Everybody needs their own kind of personalized work plans and ways to be successful, and workstations and all the things that really empower us to be our most productive selves. So I think one company that's doing it very, very well is Microsoft. And for those in our audience, I highly recommend them checking out Jenny Leigh Fleury's work, who's the global accessibility lead for Microsoft, and to really investigate what are the companies that really do that conscious work, that really are building cultures of inclusion, and to Lawrence's point, setting people up for success so that all of their talents can be instrumentalized. So Lawrence, the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is diving a little bit more into how we break up the echo chambers and how we really include the A for accessibility more so in EDI work more broadly. So as we know, there's a lot of literature that states accessibility is often missing from diversity and inclusion conversations. And so I really commend DIFEST for doing it so well here. So according to Caroline Casey, one statistic that I read, who's the founder of the Valuable 500, only 3% of articles discussing diversity published in 2019 and 2020 actually referenced disability. So what is the missing link between accessibility and broader EDI work?
Well, when we are thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion, I think what we oftentimes are thinking that this is really social justice, and maybe a little bit about including more perspectives. But a lot of people think this is more social justice, and the accessibility part, it seems to be something that is conceptualized, at least subconsciously, by people, that this is something that we're helping this individual, and this is a social justice act, which is there's nothing wrong with it. But for businesses, a lot of the time they are really about their bottom line. They really want to have increased innovation, increased productivity. But if we are thinking that the accessibility is really not about just giving this almost like superficially, some people think that this is something that is a favor to give to individuals that are that do things differently. And if that's the attitude, that's not going to be helping a lot of organizations to think that this is the right thing to do, that in terms of getting the company to be more accessible. I mean, to get the company to be more successful in terms of the general productivity and innovation for the entire organization. So what we would want to see is that people embrace that this accessibility, the A, to give all the necessary things, the tools that you need, as things that can get the person to work best, and hence the person will be able to be the most productive and innovative. Then it will be a different ball game. Just like someone that has a back pain, for example, maybe that person would need an ergonomic chair, and that may solve the problem. But a lot of the time, a lot of companies don't even ask about why you need an ergonomic chair. And they will just give it to you because it is generally a good thing if you're going to be working for 8 hours a day or more with a good ergonomic chair that's going to be making sure that you're going to stay healthy and you won't have the back pain, and then thereby is going to be good for the company. So you don't
Absolutely.
have to have the back pain in order to uh, require uh, organizations to think that you actually will benefit from it and the company will benefit from it. The same thing for neurodiversity. If we are thinking that the individuals are going to be working at best if they are in a quieter place, if they have an environment that can be working at their best, and an environment that they can communicate better without the anxiety that is uh, oftentimes be triggered by like certain kinds of environment that are predictable.
Right.
All of that can actually make things much better and make the accessibility um, more able to be connected to the DENF.
Excellent. Thank you, Lawrence. And how quickly we're running out of time with just a couple of minutes left to go. So if anyone in our audience does have a question, feel free to put in the chat, or if we run out of time, Lawrence and I can certainly answer them afterwards. But I want to spend our few remaining moments actually getting a little bit more tactical. So I guess my next question for you is, how can organizations get leaders in the room who aren't working in HR or equity, diversity, and inclusion? What we know is that perhaps many in our audience here today, and more broadly, a lot of people who come to these conversations are well versed on these issues, are doing the work day to day. But ultimately, what we really need to drive home is that this is actually leadership competency, right? That accessibility in the workplace and setting up your employees for success, regardless of their disability, is actually something that all leaders need to be invested in. So my question is for you, how do we ensure we're raising disability awareness more broadly and, through the lens of neurodiversity to ensure professionals in the space aren't operating in echo chambers?
Yeah, so we don't want to only have conferences that are uh, going to be having the same people coming over and over again. So we what we can say is that it is important for real impactful uh, leaders in different sectors to be speaking out. Like the uh, I, I I think in the public sector, if there are more uh, conversations about neurodiversity, that would be making things very different. We
Mm-hmm.
have not, at least I have not seen any kind of discussion on TV ads or things like that to tell people about neurodiversity and how that's actually good for everyone. And if there is some kind of messaging that is more in a general public way of getting everyone to be thinking about neurodiversity and is no longer a foreign concept, is a welcome concept, then leaders would very easily adopt it. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
leaders already want to adopt it in many organizations that I know of, and sometimes they are not able to really bring their acts together, not because there are no leaders that want to do it, it's the rest of the company not ready to do it. So because of that, I think generally awareness in a larger scale to reach uh, any new population um, as much as possible, I think that may be one way of solving this problem.
Thank you for that, Lawrence. And I think that's such a strong call to action for our friends who are here today joining us for the conversation. Thank you for being here and championing this work and critical attention to this lens. but who can you take to come with you that maybe is a little bit less confident, who could stand to learn a little bit more, and who is an open and receptive leader? But we all need, education and exposure to different kinds of communities, whether that be at different kinds of talks like this, whether it be connecting your employee resource groups, or really just kind of intentionally breaking those silos. So I guess the question for all of us is, what actions are all of us, and despite our job description, taking to facilitate inclusion, participation, and promotion of employees with disabilities and those with neurodiversity disabilities as well. I do have one last question for you, because I know we're nearly at time here. But it's really about positive transformation and the return to office, so that we can really consciously take all the things that we've learned in the past couple of years from the pandemic and really place it in the here and now. So what we know is that this level of disruption during the pandemic has been very negative. But at the end of the day, we have seen the ability for people to work from home or to work in workstations that are personalized and still be productive and still meet or exceed the bottom line. But we also know that corporate offices have been empty for some time, and people are starting to have a phased return to work. But are people doing it consciously, I guess, is my question for you. And post-pandemic, how can we work to frame and structure a return to work that's not ableist?
Yeah, I think with the pandemic, because so many people have no choice but to work from home, and they have a lot of people are already able to show that they are working more effectively for various different reasons. And for neurodiverse individuals, maybe it's because of the stress that they don't have to be in the office all day to use the time to really handle social interactions that cause a lot of energy for them. But for some other people that maybe not neurodiverse, but they need to balance between work life and home life, and maybe they need to pick up their children or from school, and working from home is making it a lot more productive for them. So all of those now much more understood by supervisors, because a lot of supervisors have to go through all of those themselves. So what I would say is that as long as there is a good rationale about the change in the kind of the mix between working in person versus working from home, once we can understand that it is justified to optimize for the best productivity and performance, I think the leadership in organizations would understand that. And as long as there's a way of really bringing everyone together to a lot of the time, working in person has the little magic of like really bringing people together, right? Because
Absolutely.
they're physically together. As long as that piece is still going to be there, and people in general acknowledge that this is really something that is within the value system, the belief system of the organization, then I think it will be something that will be embraced.
That's beautifully said, Lawrence. And I can't thank you enough for the conversation today. I think there was many calls to action and next steps. For our audience, I'd like you to check out and invite you to check out Dr. Lawrence Fung's work at the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, and also the upcoming summit. And, like we said before, who are you going to bring to your next EDIA conversation, and how are you going to continue to personally champion this in your work? So Lawrence, it was such a pleasure to connect with you today and host you in this conversation. I can't thank you enough, and a huge thank you to our audience as well. Wishing you a great rest of your DiFest experience. Take care.
Thank you, Victoria.